any check kiting is going on, is to do a schedule of interbank transfers. So look at movement of money or funds between the company's bank accounts. A proof of cash would be something that auditors would do if they couldn't rely on internal controls. So basically they have to, prove the cash disbursements and cash receipts by looking at the sources of that information. You're looking at basically 2 bank reconciliations, looking at all of the reconciling transactions that occurred during the period, and reconciling those items to the cash receipts and cash disbursements journal. So it's a much more detailed analysis of the flow of cash through cash receipts and cash disbursements journal. Other things that an auditor wants to do with respect, because again, remember, cash is highly liquid, so it is one of those accounts where you have you consider the fraud risk, misappropriation of assets. Count the petty cash twice in one day, so this kind of goes along with the line. So yes, you show up once to count it, maybe count it another time, right? So again, on a surprise basis. Look at the endorsements on canceled checks carefully, right? Because most companies, if you're sending it to a valid vendor, most times they're going to stamp it, right? They're going to stamp it with the company's name and logo, and it's going to go directly into that company's checking account. So you want to look carefully to see, make sure that it's not necessarily a person who is signing off on it, or if just looking at it to see if it looks strange. Remember, general journal entries are important. So you always want to look at to see if there are any unusual journal entries in your cash account, right? Because if you think about it, for your operating account, your cash is coming from receipts and receipts into the cash accounts and disbursements out of the cash account are pretty much generally going to be receipts from the cash receipts journal and disbursements from the cash disbursements journal. So you shouldn't see a lot of topside adjustments. And what I mean by topside adjustment, be adjustments that are not, that are debits or credits to the cash account is not generated by either of those 2 journals, right? So you want to look closely at the journal entries. This is a little different retreat, because most times you don't have checks. Way back in the day when I was an auditor, all of the checks, the company got them back. Nobody gets checks back. So, we don't even get checks. You guys probably weren't even born, so you don't even remember that the bank would send you your bank statement and you'd have all your canceled checks in there. That doesn't happen anymore, right? You want to look at what kind, remember when we did the skepticism case early in the semester, and the auditor looked at the currency, they looked at how new the checks were, they looked at the serial number, that kind of stuff. That's just being skeptical. You can look at the deposit lag time, examine documents for alteration. Remember, we're kind of in this day and age where, technology, word processing programs allow you to reproduce very, very believable documents. In fact, this has absolutely nothing to do with auditing. As I was getting ready for work this morning, I was listening to the Day Show, and they had this segment on where apparently this young man sent his girlfriend a letter. And she'd been accepted to some university, and this letter said, "We're sorry, we regret to inform you that your grades are not what we expected, so basically we're rescinding our offer." Now imagine when you go to college, you think you're on your way to college, and they're like, "No, we don't want you," right? So this is what he said, and it was on the school's letterhead. It was believable. And then further down, he says, he had some line, "Unless you agree to go to the prom with so-and-so." And it turns out it was a prank. But initially, when she got the letter, it came in an envelope and in school. So I'm sure that the college or university wasn't in cahoots with the boyfriend, right? So he was able to obviously copy it so that it was very believable. I didn't see the document, but because I was getting dressed, I was just listening. But they said it was really genuine. It looked really real. You saw that segment? So that's what you could do.
It was actually online a few days ago.
It was online a few days ago. So this is what you could do with, just word processing. So, and I'm sure it was a good university, so it's not like she was a dummy. She didn't realize that it was, a fake letter. But anyway.